Shit. One more button to push. One more button. Okay. There's nobody here. It's just... I mean no offense. Well, hey there. The Packfiller podcast is about to begin. You can always follow the show through Instagram, Twitter, and even Facebook if you're still into that sort of thing. The show is streamed live every Tuesday at 6 o'clock Pacific on our Packfiller Productions YouTube channel, as well as on the Podbean app. You can call the show directly from Podbean and chat along in the discussion on both platforms. Now let's get to the Packfiller podcast. It's a really bad music. I've never really stopped to just listen to it. It's really terrible.
That's all I can hear. Poke through.
It's a great way to really make people not want to listen to this show, isn't it? All right, I'll fucking change it. Hey, before we begin, it's that time. Gooder sunglasses, everybody. Styles are flying out the Gooder headquarters. Colors, shapes, styles, and definite fashion statements. If you're a member of the Packfiller, you're eligible for a 20% discount in April. If you are a team, I emphasize the word team Packfiller member, you get a free pair in addition to that. So check out all the great glasses at Gooder.com. Match your kit, your style, your mood, or hell, even your weekend activities for the prices it has been offering. Speaking of that Packfiller membership for the team, that is only good for one more month. So you have not even a full month. End of April, and then it's gone. Also, thanks to Giant Bicycles. Get to your local dealer today. Bikes are arriving. You can buy a bike, people. Yeah. I'm going to switch my bar tape probably back to black. I think you said something about a construction zone.
Yeah, it looked like a construction zone.
on my TCR Advance Pro, which is all orange. But you can go get your own style on a new ride for the new season. Take a test ride on a Giant today. So there we go. I admit it, I made a bad choice in bar tape. Let's do this. It was bad. I'm experimenting.
It doesn't always end well.
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
And in this case, it did not.
All right, you guys, let's do this. We didn't get Roubaix, but, well, never mind. We didn't get Roubaix, and that sucks. So let's commiserate over a beer and a podcast. We're running slim. We got a lean show today. Welcome to the Packfiller Podcast. I'm Pat Bulger, and I rode 5 times this week. I rode 5 times this week. That's what most people do normally, but I'm just really fucking proud of myself. With me is Mr. Paul Main. How did your ride week go, Chief?
It went all right, yeah. A little congested. I think I had a little bit of a cold through the week, and Saturday here, pretty much stuck weather-wise, and I just stayed in bed.
I'm going to say that I know you keep saying it's a cold. But the audience needs to know when you got your first COVID shot.
Wednesday.
Should I just leave it there?
Yeah, but I had these symptoms before that.
You
on
did?
Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday I had congestion and I was coughing. My wife thought I was drinking milk because I was clearing my throat all the
time. See, nobody gets colds anymore, which is what's so weird. I guess that's the thing that I was just like, a cold? What the fuck's a cold? Because I haven't been sick in 18 months except for after my second shot.
Well, I haven't had a cold in I don't know how long, but yeah.
Well, we didn't go to Jack's house. For those of you who are wondering how all that turned out, how all the training camp turned out, do we want to... I'm kind of sad about it. We didn't ride... Well, okay. I think did we say this in the last show? The reason as to why we didn't go to Jack's house? It was the drain in the shower. That wasn't the first priority.
The priority was the weather.
Yeah.
And the shower wasn't ready, so you think pissing down 40-degree weather and no shower doesn't really sound appealing, does it?
I don't think the weather was as bad as we thought it was.
It didn't turn out that bad.
It didn't. Yeah. Oh, shit. Jack's not here, in case you were wondering why. Jesus, did Pat mute his mic? Because we haven't heard from Jack yet. Because he's usually bouncing all over the airwaves by now. But we decided to pass, and Jack was actually not upset about the fact that we decided to pass, because he himself had said he hasn't been riding much, and I don't think he can handle 3 days of 60 miles a day. And you and I were like, 99% chance it's going to be 40 degrees and spitting rain, and you and I are going to drive 6.5 hours to get there. ride for 2 day and a half, 6.5 to get back. It turns out you weren't feeling good anyway.
No, that would have been a really bummer.
Yeah, so we didn't ride all 3 days. There we go. The Spokane looked like it was going to be good. Friday, you and I got a nice ride in. It was windy as shit, though.
Yeah, it was pretty windy.
I think it said it was going to be 8 mile an hour.
I think it ended up being around 15 to 20 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, with gusts.
Yeah, and I chose a windy route.
We were way up on the plains, and it was pretty nasty. But it was nice. And then we did get the first Packfiller quote fun ride in this weekend, which was just it's not like it was something you had to register. It was just, hey, come show up. You picked a course ahead of time. We talked about it on the last show about people showing up. I do want to emphasize that I was pretty sure of the fact that I said it was a drop ride. It was not a no-drop ride.
Yeah, it will be a spirited ride. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, because the course, the way the course was set up, we rode out of 9 Mile Falls, and within within a minute, we were climbing, and then a minute and a half, we were climbing on dirt, and that was the last time we saw several people. And for those of you who were on the ride, and it was so cool to meet a couple new people and things like that. I don't, where do we take this from here in terms of this goes? Do we? It's so weird trying to organize group rides, because I remember just back in the old days where you would just say, "Hey, we're going for a ride." It was a group ride. Boom. You just go. And now it's almost like you need to have a code of ethics when you're planning a ride. Do we stage it because a couple of the guys had gravel bikes, and gravel bikes aren't going to be as fast on the road. Sorry for all of you, one bike fits all. I don't know. Where do we?
Well, I think the questions were coming in when you posted it. Everybody's asking how much gravel, and in my mind, I have one bike, and I could have measured it. I didn't really have it in front of me, and actually it was about a third, I would say, third of the
at least. Yeah.
And it was good to me. It was good to meet those couple of people I hadn't met before, and then I felt guilty as hell waiting at the end. We saw them go by and waved. I thought they were going to roll in and pick up some swag, and then I thought, oh, we didn't really get to chat with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough go. So, I don't know. Maybe we should have like a nice, the team I was on. We had Mondays were like what we called soft pedal. Yeah, and it's a socialized thing.
There is a group. There is a group in town who's doing something like that. Alan Jacob is.
Screw those guys.
Yeah,
it's us.
We're
man.
Doing our own.
That's right.
Yeah,
we grabbed their ball and took off.
Yeah, I'm doing my own. Taking my toys home. And for those. For the riders, and this is for people who are listening to the show. If you're in the Spokane area, especially, obviously, because if you're not, it's going to be kind of awkward to you to chime in on a group ride because you're not going to play with us. But every group ride out there, predominantly these days, seems to be a no drop, and I understand that, and I understand what you're trying to do, but it's also kind of fun to just go out and hurt yourself and cop up along and know the course. And we had the course on GPS. And everybody was able to ride it and go along at their own pace. And
I had a really good explanation where, right before we took off, right?
Yeah. It was crystal clear, man.
Yeah.
It was crystal clear. You went through everything. And you lost me at, we're going to go left out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that was where I was like, fuck, I don't know what you're talking about.
See people's eyes roll back.
Yeah. Ugh. So, I mean, I don't know. Once we get the kid back, once Nightwing's here and stuff like that, I mean, maybe, we could switch off and one person will ride with a second group just to make sure everybody's good, and we'll switch off or something like that. Or if somebody out there, I keep thinking of some of our regulars like, Crazy Justin, who'd be willing to maybe show up and, kind of have the fun pace, because he's the guy who doesn't necessarily go balls out, but he can go balls deep. He just goes long.
Well,
yeah. He just
and he knows if anybody's behind him because he rides with a third eye.
Yeah,
So make sure nobody's behind.
Yeah, I do want to congratulate those guys, man. That group did they called it this Mount Doom ride. It was like 140 miles, and it was on Saturday.
70.
It was 170. I think they got 133 miles
did
in.
they? Uh-huh.
And it was basically snowing. Some people would call it shale or
a grapple.
Grapple. Yeah, it was bad. It was ugly, and I don't think they got all the way to the top of Steptoe Butte. And sorry for all the cyclists who don't know what the fuck we're talking about. But imagine this gigantic mountain. It's like a zit on the planet in the middle of wheat fields.
Yeah.
And it just juts up out of nowhere. And they went all the way there, and they got there, but I guess the wind was blowing so hard. The guys were just like, we're not going to get back till midnight. Let's turn around and go call an Uber. So they still got 130 miles in, which is just brutal. Just brutal. Those guys are impressive, man. I do have to say that riding in a small group, I think we had 9 at the start or something like that. Holy shit, it was nice to ride with some other people.
Hey, what are you saying?
No, not just you. I respect you, man. But it was so weird actually looking around, and there were only 4 or 5 of us in the group. We're not violating COVID rules. We're very small groups and things like that. But it was so weird to just ride on somebody else's wheel than yours. Mm-hmm. It was nice. It was really nice. It was almost like old days. So I loved it. So what do you think about other ones, man? Do we do them at the same location? Do we do them?
Well, I think I talked to a couple of guys. A couple of guys who were with us, Dan and Matt, and they really liked the idea. Both of them have been. Dan has a new baby. His wife showed up, and it was their first time. They were kind of like getting out a little bit. Yeah. And they said, if there was a consistent basis, they kind of like the idea. My thought is if I come up with a new course, I'm just going to, if you ride in front of me the day of the ride, I'm going to have like temporary paint. If you go up ahead of me, you're on your own. Yeah. I'll mark the course so that way it keeps everybody, when I turn, do I turn here? Yeah. You have to come back and find me, and then I'll maybe something like that. You always have a chance in the sprint. Yep.
I actually was going to go out and spray chalk the road, and I should have done that.
I should have done that because I did the course.
Yeah. So one of us to just maybe the day before or a couple days before take a can of spray chalk out there and just and the chalk disappears. So if it rains like hell the night before the ride, it's gone. But it's gone. So I guess we could do that. But no, I'm up for doing a lot more. I think it'd be fun. Not just the races we're talking about promoting and putting on, but I think it'd be fun to just get people out there. I believe this is the week. Oh, you know why Jackson and Jack aren't here? This is the show we're supposed to commit to our races. See that? Mm-hmm. They're bailing, motherfuckers. We said we were going to commit to at least 3 events, right? Mm-hmm. Or 3 events or 3 races?
3 events because, if somebody wanted to do gravel, would you call that, but not just like.
But is a stage race 3 races or is a stage race 3
For Jack, we'll make it 3 races.
Yeah, that's the thing. Jack, I know, is like, can I just say the Omnium's good?
Yeah.
You want to go first? You got your 3 official 3?
I have 2 because of the things. I will do Vance Creek.
When is Vance Creek?
So I talked to Dan on the ride, or maybe it was Matt. No, it was Dan. Vance Creek is one in May.
Oh, it's in May.
And then they have another one, I think, in June or July. July, I think it is. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
So since we would have a place to stay
with a working shower,
now it's time to go visit. And so that would be one. And I think there's a crit the next day, like Tacoma crit.
Oh, okay.
So
now
then
we're talking.
Then it's like 2 in 1. If you drive 6 hours, you want to get more than just a 2.5 hour, 3 hour race in, and then
again, I'm reminiscing back in the old day because I remember you were able to do that consistently. They were never. It wasn't necessarily a stage race, but you would go over on we'd go over to Seattle, Marymore Velodrome. Oh, it's the Jerry Baker Memorial Velodrome now, But you would do Friday night track racing. Saturday there'd be a race somewhere, and then Sunday there'd be another race somewhere in
That
within
vicinity.
an hour and a
Yeah.
half, 2 hour driving
Mhm.
range, and then you'd come home completely shredded. And that would it was just, we need that again. And you know why I think we need that? And this isn't even the topic of the show. I think we need to force USA Cycling Clubs to put on events again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think people are getting away with, and an unattached fee.
You think there should be?
I think there should be an unattached fee. I think you should have to pay for a little bit extra because there are clubs out there who put on races, and I don't think you should be able to skirt by an entire year without being involved in one way, shape, or form.
I have a little bit of a problem with that.
Do you really?
Yeah, because I've been on smaller teams and the resources
Sure.
you can't afford anything. And Gino used to say all you have to do, you could have a race for one-legged Polish women.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would fill the bill. But I'm thinking it's defeating the whole purpose. That's like cheating the system. If you I think we're at a stage, it's a burden on clubs.
Yeah.
When clubs were bigger, now all clubs are small.
Sure.
And to put on a race is huge. If they can find affiliation, somebody who'd be willing to put on the race and then have
a club sign on for
Yeah.
that as volunteers
Mhm.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's also the biggest problem is there's so many of us bike racers who don't want to volunteer.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I just want to race. I'm just going to show up and leave. Yeah, well, but they're, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm the same. I guess
Because
I'm the same
I
way.
feel like I paid. No, I guess I hate saying that. It's like I've done that for so long, and I don't mind doing it, and it has to be done.
Yeah.
But I'm at the age where I don't want to sacrifice a weekend if I'm not racing. You know what I
True.
mean? And it's selfish, I know, but
Well, and there
God dang it, I got a short span of life
there's
left.
only so many breaths. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of people out there, especially race promoters, who are doing it for as little as possible. There are some out there doing it for revenue.
Mhm.
And, I guess maybe they could find clubs to glue
Yeah,
them onto.
Yeah.
Or I remember there were times when you would team up with another club
Mm-hmm.
and put on a race together or something like that. But I don't know. I just wish there was an incentive for more people to be putting something on, even if it is a Tuesday night 5-mile time trial.
Mm-hmm.
Just something. I mean, because that's how the sport grows. Me, I'm committing 100%. Already paid for the Belgian Waffle Ride July 18th. I am officially stating my intents to ride the River City Omnium August 28th and 29th. It's only 2 days, so is it a TT crit?
TT in the morning, road
Yeah.
race in the afternoon,
Oh fuck!
and then so if you can choose what you
Yeah,
want. Masters Road Championships
yeah.
is that one. So, and then the crit the next day.
Masters Road Championships. Are there gravel sections on that?
No.
Right? No.
No.
This is the one without gravel sections.
Mhm.
Okay. Rolling and
Rolling hills.
yeah, windy too out there.
And wind.
I don't think I've done that course other than maybe riding
We
with
will
you.
next weekend.
Yeah. So I'm going to commit to definitely the road race and the crit, and to the promoter of that race who's asked me to announce. Yes, I will announce, but I'm going to get somebody else to do my race. I am committing. I can't believe I'm doing this to the Tour de Bloom.
Drink.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I want to do. God damn, that beer's good. I got to quit drinking IPAs and start drinking some of that other stuff. That's delicious. September 24th through the 26th. And I am also going to add to that. I want to add more races to that. I want to. Many years in the past, I've set myself a 20 start lines, 20 official starts, but those a lot of times included weeknight races. A buddy of mine puts on the Wednesday night series, mountain bike races, and I would include those. Twilight series, I would include those. But I think I want to try and shoot for 10 non-weekday series start lines this year. So we'll see if I can fill that in. I'd like to. God, it'd be nice to get at least 10 official real bike races in. Sorry to my weeknight race things. That'd be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now I need to figure out how to train for road events, shorter road events, faster road events, as well as a 138-mile gravel race at the same time. I mean,
Well, we had this discussion when I was...
But we didn't have it on microphones where everybody else was listening to me.
So my wife, who was she loved to run, and she did a couple of marathons. She wanted to qualify for Boston. And to guarantee her time, doing her research, they said you need to do a lot of interval work, that type of thing, to increase your time. But so it was her distance was, she thought she had to go and plod along and, hit 15 mile runs. Yeah. 21 weekend, blah, 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 or work your way up and taper down. It was kind of like that. But in between those longer rides was, the speed. And we would do intervals, and I'd help her on intervals. So, yeah. And I think you could benefit from that. You know what I mean? As long as you keep your endurance up, we'll have a couple of rides. We'll do near 100, 100 whatever, plus. Yeah. Twice a month, you're going to be fine.
Because I don't see. I mean, I'm not going to Belgian Waffle to win any medals. I'm just going to do it and experience the entire thing. But I do want to come back in late July and be ready after a couple weeks to race crits or to race a rolling windy road race. So I mean, God knows the endurance will be there, but shit, endurance ain't squat if you can't handle when the pack goes a little faster. So I don't know. It's going to be a lot to figure out, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, actually, this is the most motivated I've been in about. How old am I? No, in several years. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking this might be a year to have some fun out there. I got 10 more pounds to go though.
It'll come.
Yeah, I got 10 more pounds. I want to get to 190 now. I'm getting cocky. I just do want to mention I got a full week of riding in. We loved going to Portland. Got to see Nightwing and ride with him a couple times. Hood River, got to ride there. It was great to ride in different areas. I think that's vital to keeping things fresh, is just hopping in the car and going someplace for a weekend and exploring some trails or rides or roads or things like that. Kid has some really good loops in Portland. There's some fun shit over there. I mean, we did a couple rides that were, dead flat, and then a 4-mile climb in Forest Park over there in Portland. I know that he probably hasn't explored a lot of the areas beyond Forest Park because, he's a college kid. He's got to do his other stuff like that. And I'm sure there are Portland residents who are like, oh, fuck, you haven't gone to blankety blank or whatever. But we were able to leave from his place and, and ride. And that was really cool. And you think of a lot of big cities where you can't just head out from the doorstep and then be able to go out and ride in those areas. And so I was impressed. I was really impressed with some of the riding out there. I don't know. And I think, God damn, if they got a world championships, I'd be there in a minute.
No kidding.
That'd be really cool. All right. Should we check some headlines? I think we should check some headlines. Where's my news? Hey. Actually,
you did that on purpose.
That was a happy accident. Hey, everybody. In case you weren't paying attention, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Mark Cavendish claimed his first victory in over 3 years when he won stage 2 of the Tour of Turkey, beating Jasper Philipsen, Alpecin Phoenix, and Andre Greipel. It's almost like we've stepped back in time. Cavendish beating Greipel for the win in a bunch sprint in Turkey. Philipsen hit the front early with a lead out from Alpecin Phoenix, but Cavendish, God, he just wove through just the way he moved like through that field.
Old days.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful thing to see. Biding his time, coming across, within the final 100K to take the stage win and the overall lead, according to Cav. Quote: "It's incredible. It's really nice. It's super nice." I never get tired of that feeling. That's he says Turkey is not the Tour de France, but to beat Jasper and Andre isn't easy. So. I think a lot of people on this show know what I have said about Mark Cavendish in the past, and I am not going to pretend that I never said bad things about Mark Cavendish in the past, because I can't, because you guys are going to call me out on it, and that's fair. I did not like Mark Cavendish for a very long time. I think it might have been because he was the villain in my movie, my movie of watching bike racing, and and then I think maybe over the last couple of years, so much has changed with him, and seeing him change from a cocky sprinter to a guy. I don't know. What have your thoughts been on him, and what do you think of him now, and things like that? I guess just to start with Cav.
When he first, I think he first started off in a World Tour team was Telecom, and I watched him sprint. He was in his early, I think 21, 22 or something like that. I thought this guy's going to be a force to reckon with. And on the morning ride, there was a couple of guys. They were playing this fantasy. This is way back. Gosh, it must have been 2008 or whatever. I don't know.
Well, Telecom, you dated yourself right there. Yeah.
And they said, this guy goes, "Do you have a lead on any sprinters?" I said, "Mark Cavendish, you wait.
No shit.
That guy, he's going to be fast." Well, something happened. I don't think he even finished the first stage. So the guy goes, "Oh, thanks for the hint," or something. But, I was never surprised that he wasn't. His personality, a lot of sprinters have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to have a little fast asshole.
You have to. And just, I don't know. I think everybody who knows him down deep always says positive things about him.
Yeah.
And if you understand his personality, that's just the way he is. So it's not for everybody. I mean, his personality.
I think at one point in time we said it might have even been on the show, is where we talked about the fact that a sprinter has to have the mentality to say, that gap is mine and it's nobody else's. I am the best. I am the fastest in this group right now. Get the fuck out of my way. And maybe that bleeds over into their lives a little bit. And I don't know. It's just he was one of the sprinters that kind of rubbed me wrong. But boy, oh boy, I have changed my views on him. I appreciate the guy. I like seeing his humility. I like seeing him struggle a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. I blame Phil Liggett.
You think he poisoned the well?
Phil had his head so far up Cav's ass for so many years. It was just like Cavendish. And you're like, fucking shut up. And maybe that was it. And I didn't like his cocky kind of mumbling in his, maybe that's the Manx dialect
it's that,
or something.
Yeah, kind of in that. So, I don't know. I'm not a specialist, but, Liverpool and all that. Yeah.
I'm judging him for the way he speaks, and that's really even worse.
Yeah.
Is it enough? Yeah, shame on me. Is it enough to call it a return? Do you think this is a return? As he said himself, Turkey is not France. But
to win, I mean, the thing is, if he didn't win it, then everybody's like, look at, it can't get any easier than this. Then he wins it it's only a tour of Turkey.
Yeah,
he couldn't win either way. I mean, win people's hearts either way. If you didn't like the guy, he still didn't win.
Yeah.
Because it's the Tour of Turkey. But if he didn't, they would say, see, he still doesn't have it. So
yeah. Do we have should we place any real expectations on the poor guy for the future? Or would this be almost like a shit? Peace out. Thanks, everybody. Drop the mic and walk off stage. Do a George Costanza. And thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Stage
Try the veal.
Yeah. No, well, I read a couple of things on it, and Lefebvre brought him on, and the guy from Specialized, the head guy from Specialized, because Cavendish loves Specialized bikes, and he's always been a fan. So they got together, and Lefebvre said, if you're willing to sign the bonus checks for a win, then and that's what he said. And his quote today, no.
Yeah.
And so he said, I'm sure, gosh, it's slipping my mind. The guy head of Specialized is very happy to see Cav win today.
Yeah.
But he is not as rich as he once was now. So, I think it's a good thing for cycling. Kind of keeps, he still has it. I mean, he shot some gaps to get there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there are a fuck ton of Cat 3 Masters riders who are going to make sure that Specialized does not go out of business.
No.
Next story. So close for McNulty. Spectacular long-distance attack by Primoz Roglic was rewarded with his second victory in 3 years in the Itzulia Basque Country as he claimed the overall lead in a dramatic style in the last stage of the race. this move, Roglic, I have to confess, and I know that the people are going to give me more shit for hosting a cycling podcast, and I didn't know about Brandon's leading in this race. I wasn't paying attention. I guess I was too much enjoying my vacation and or COVID shot hell that I wasn't paying attention to this. And okay, this is more ignorance on my part. Is this the Tour of the Basque Country?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Zulia is just Basque for tour. Or it is a sponsor.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Sorry, ignorance here.
Yeah, I read both of us. Hello.
Dumbasses. Yeah, exactly. But, I just remember this, and I remember, the Tour of the Basque Country is what they always called it. But this move, some 60K from the line on a descent, put McNulty on the back foot, and then there were massive climbs on this last stage going into this thing. You watched the stage, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I watched several stages.
Yeah, and my question is, and it isn't necessarily about poor Brandon McNulty, because that would have been really cool to see. You were like, but dude, we got an American to root for that isn't Quinn Simmons.
Yeah,
like, yay! Because Quinn's still got some learning to do. But the UAE tactics, when all this started to break down, were very odd.
Mm-hmm.
Just for me sitting back and kind of watching the stage going, okay, they got Tadej Pogačar. They've got the race is starting to come apart. McNulty is not holding the wheel. They have to make a decision, UAE, immediately. Do they work to get to close this gap to bring McNulty back into it, or do they say, fuck it, we got to go with our fastest guy on this stage, and we got to have him hammer? Because it seems like they made that decision, but it was the wrong decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw Pogačar. I keep saying his name wrong. I'm going to say his name wrong on purpose. So I kind of like, what's that other show?
Slow Ride Podcast.
Slow Ride Podcast. Yeah. I'm gonna call out another podcast because you say they intentionally fuck up names, and I like that. I'm not going to steal it from him. I fuck up names unintentionally. But he's back there, and he did so much of the effort after Roglic was already gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the front, leading this entire field. Bad tactics or just bad luck?
Well, I think it also, what Jumbo-Visma did was they're allowing somebody who they think they could control, McNulty, go up the road, like the stage where he took the overall and got third in the sprint. Now, for 2 days, UAE has to protect, the jersey, the lead. Now, that was UAE's tactic back in the Tour.
Yeah.
So they kind of reverse the rules, see, or the playbook, and so they did. They had to kind of like control things, keep things. They burned a few people. Well, on the last day, it was interesting. UAE sent Hershey up the road.
Yeah.
And when McNulty cracked, they didn't. I don't know why they didn't send him back. They kind of waited a little bit, and then Pogačar was like in between. I think it was kind of more their fuck up. Is like, oh no, and by that time, Roglic has been sitting in for 3 stages.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to hear what the thoughts were on that team bus in the morning, because I don't know if McNulty thought that he was going to be able to. You're looking at the stage, but topography, is he going to look at Tadej and go, I might suck here. But.
Well, and sometimes on these smaller races, this is the time where you have your backup. Somebody like McNulty or somebody like Sepp Kuss or somebody like that. This is their chance to shine. This is not what for all the marbles, so they can actually kind of check out their strategy or how they handle pressure, or even teach them. This is what you're going to have to deal with being under attack. So.
And it also does create a good amount of loyalty, probably. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, man, thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'm there for you in the Tour, yada, yada, go on from there.
Yep.
So, any other surprises or heartbreaks that you took away from that? I'm not going to lie, I only caught that final stage. So,
No, I think Roglic, I was mentioning before, in the green room, that after winning there in the Basque Country, he goes to I think it's 500 kilometers away. It goes to where one of the key time trial stages is, and for the Tour de France. And it was pissing rain, and he went out and recon the course, rode it, got in, I don't know if he showered or whatever, drove to the next one, and did that in the same day. So here's, Roglic is somebody who's very committed to his, craft. So, that guy, he doesn't back off at all. He's tough as nails. So.
I think it's leading us towards some really interesting things, especially to see Pogacar's efforts in that final stage, how he led that group, and I think we're seeing some amazing strength from both of those guys. So it's it's going to lead some really interesting as we go into the Grand Tour season. Yay! One more story I do have to mention because I got to mention it's in the Gorge. It was right near us. And this is, I'm going to talk about gravel for a second, Paul. Peter Stetina came all the way over to Oregon's Gorge Gravel Grinder this past weekend on Sunday. Soloed to the win after breaking away from the competition with 70K remaining. I guess he was first outing in several months after all of our COVID restrictions are starting to lift. 93-mile race, 4 hours, 11 minutes, beating his nearest competitor, Stephen Mull, by over just 2 minutes. Jack Barty finished third to complete the podium. I just want to say these names because we're a global podcast, and I'm saying names of Northwest guys here. So it didn't. I guess Stetina was pretty surprised by some of the efforts by some of the local riders and things like that. So I just want to say that's freaking awesome, and it's cool to see. I was going to ride that course last week. But the second shot really kind of fucked me up. I wasn't feeling very good, so I was just like, I'll just go there and ride. Paul, you've done some races in that area, and there was one that it was a gravel race, but it was a road race with gravel in it.
It was kind of like our Spokane River road race, kind of like what we did today. Sunday. Yeah. So it was the very first one, the one that, what's it called? That pass that you took a picture of your bike. It looked like a construction zone.
Yes.
I want to say Juanitas, Juananas, or whatever pass. They do car commercials up there. It's very picturesque. So you'd climb from the Dalles, climb up there, drop down in a small little town called Mosier, and you climbed another 2 or 3 miles, and then you're in gravel and Orchard. It seemed like Orchard to get up on the plateau.
It's all plains up there. Yeah.
And then you descend down to some gravel. You get and you do this loop up there. And then there was another course out to the east of Dalles. And then, so I did that 2 years in a row, I think 2013 and 14, and then they turned it into a Gran Fondo, and now it's a gravel race.
Okay.
But I think they add more gravel up on top and less pavement. But some of the same courses, I believe, and some of the sections of gravel.
And for those of you who don't know what this area is, like Hood River through here, it is, some of the best kite boarding and windsurfing in the world.
Yep.
Because it is never not windy, this area. Mm-hmm. I remember you telling me about road race descents where you're you're dropping people on a descent because people wouldn't.
You couldn't. We were pedaling. I was in a 3917 pedaling on a 5% gradient down to the gorge, down to the river. And my teammate was with me, and we're picking guys that were getting dropped from a group ahead of us going downhill. And we were just laughing ourselves silly because it's just ridiculous. It was blowing so hard that day.
Oh, fuck.
So, yeah.
Oh, my God. I had been to one down there. I don't think I think it was the original road race back there in those days. And I just remember there were a couple just nasty, steep climbs and things like that. It's great riding if you're okay putting your face in the wind a lot. So it's beautiful there. So I just wanted to mention it in the show because it's really cool to see some races around the area and things starting to get going here. So looking ahead, no, we're not picking the Tour of Turkey, but we should pick Amstel Gold. You and I have Pro Cycling Stats provide start lists, but it isn't really a complete start list. It's names, but we aren't necessarily guaranteed that they're going to start, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you about your knowledge about Amstel Gold and the style of race and the style of rider it prefers or highlights? Do you have any?
The
big
punchy
expert on that?
climbs, that's one that actually the American we don't like to speak about did fairly well in that.
Yeah, Voldemort
Yeah,
himself. Yeah. He always rode well in it before one of his tours. One of his good
you
tours.
could get those.
My dog just came
Bender.
in.
Hi, buddy. So you get those. There's Matthew Vanderpool won.
Yeah,
very
in
dramatically.
an amazing race last year.
Yeah, and so it's kind of punchy climbs. It's tons of circuits and stuff like that. They've changed the course here and there. I think it originated in the mid '60s, early '60s. So, yeah. Go get mom.
Bender, come on.
Go get mom.
Say hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Go get her.
Come on.
My wife saw her when she was on a run.
That's what
Yeah.
she said. She saw your wife.
Yeah.
Here, I'll turn this camera to me so everybody saw you in your hat.
He's wrestling. Great podcast.
Oh, he's still not in.
Yeah.
This is real life, honey. The cameras are all on me. Nobody can see you in your pre-running gear. They're all on me.
Post running.
Post running? Oh, that's why he came down.
Yeah.
How was the run?
Well, that was a long time ago.
Oh.
What is it like? Chamois time is.
Oh yeah,
Training time is training
time. Yep. Good call.
This is actually real life. This is real
Yeah, it is.
podcasting.
Just like the last podcast, my cat was like.
Your cat
butting up
was
against
fucking
you.
with you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's a cat for you.
Yeah. Dogs are just
They,
like.
they just want love.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amstel Gold, it could be various, type of riders.
Yeah.
So.
Let me look at this. I mean, how many riders do we pick for a classic? I
always
never
think
pay
3.
attention. 3 riders for a
Yeah.
classic, especially because we don't know if some of these people are actually going to be on the start.
Mhm.
We're looking at, for those of you listening, after the time, we're looking at this on our normal recording day of Monday. Technically, the start list isn't going to come out till Wednesday. And I'm looking at teams, and I want to go out on some. I'm going to go with some a safe choice, but I want to go out on I want to throw the dice here, man. I want to play around. So I'm going to pick. We could just stagger here how we pick riders. I'll pick one, you pick one, I pick one, you pick one.
Okay.
My first rider, because I want to see it happen this year sometime. And I don't think it's going to be his ride, but I'm gonna still go with Greg Van Avermaet. Boo-ba-doo.
Dun, 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 dun.
I want Greg to put his hands in the air.
Hey, and
one time
he's
this year.
done well in this race. If I remember, he was in I don't know if he podiumed, but last year or 2 years ago. No, it had to have been 2 years ago. That he was in the chase group or something. Anyway,
Yeah. I've unfortunately seen a lot of him in the chase
Mhm.
groups, and I want to see him
Yeah.
burst into something new.
Well, getting third at Flanders.
Yeah, it didn't hurt, and that's why I think he's flying. I think he's going well. So, all right, you're first.
I have Soren Craig Anderson.
For
He's DSM.
oh,
Yeah.
what?
He's been kind of right there. Remember in
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Remo, he's won some kind of punchy races and stuff
Right
in
on.
the past. So
Right on. Okay. I think Sepp von Marke is going to bring
Oh.
Israel Startup Nation. I want.
I
him
would
bring
like to
something.
see that, but
You don't think so?
nah.
You don't think he's got the?
Well, I mean, he was keen on Paris-Roubaix,
Yeah.
which didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, that's why.
And we're drinking sour beers because no Paris-Roubaix.
we're sour losers.
No Paris-Roubaix. We're
Yeah.
sour.
That's 2 riders.
Yeah. So, let's see. I was looking at what's his name. I can't pronounce his name. Jonas from Jumbo's Visma. He got second. What race was that? Just the other
Vingegaard.
Vingegaard, yeah.
Vingegaard. Yeah, something like that.
And he was second in whatever race was going on in the last.
I remember
week or
Galloway
something.
making a tweet Velocast John making a joke about the fact that people are going to bust his balls about how he pronounces Vingagard. And I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but I'm going to just go with Vingagard. Vingagard.
Those are my 2 so far.
Those are your 2? Okay, did we say 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got to pick one more. Oh, shit. Not a Stuyven. I got to pick somebody from De Koenig, don't I? Probably. It says Alaphilippe is intending of being there, but I don't know if he's gonna. I don't know if this is his race.
He's any race.
Yeah,
I could see him win this.
Yeah,
I really do, but I'm not going to pick him.
Oh shit. I'm gonna. Go ahead. What?
I was going to say I'm going to go with an oddball. Dylan Toons.
Oh.
He's ready.
Shit, now I got to pick, don't I? I really got to do it this time. Is Tim Wellens? This isn't his kind of race, is it?
Well, if it's a breakaway, it could whittle down, but
I don't know if
he can't bring anybody to the line, just like Tej Benoot. They have to be by themselves.
I'm going to keep rooting for my man Michael Matthews. I'm going to pick him for my 3rd. Because I just want him to win something. I really do. So there we go. Those are our 3. Jack and Jackson don't get to pick. We'll maybe post them later or something like that, but they don't get to pick. So there you go. All right. That does our news and segments there for the beginning of the show. And here's our topic, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Mojo Cyclery. Support your local bike shop, people. Do it. Get ready for a 2nd episode of the Mojo Diaries coming very soon. The guys are ready to talk bike selections for your riding styles. I think I want to break down. They don't even know that's what I want to talk about. But I want to talk about the fact that gravel bikes are all over the fucking place right now. You've got gravel bikes that look like downhill bikes without suspension. And you've got some that look like a road bike with just slightly bigger tires. And so I want to talk about those kind of things out there. So check them out at mojocyclery.com. Be sure to join the Packfiller for a club discount. See how I just keep fitting that in? I want to take this show to get to know the Packfiller.
No.
Paul doesn't know this, but this is going to be a one-on-one interview with Paul here to get to know Paul. The most, arguably, some would say, the most popular character on the show, because when all you're chiming in, you guys out there are chiming in about Paul, curmudgeon-y old Paul, and his anti-brakes.
Hey boys, you better get sweating out there.
Yeah.
Hey, you boys best keep sweating out there. The more sweat, the better, boys.
That is such a fucked up audio quote. I don't even know who did it, but we're gonna get to know Paul in this one, you guys, because the guy, if you've ever ridden with this guy, he's got plenty.
I won't shut up
of tales to tell, and so let's break it down. Let's get to know your characters on the show, shall we? So. And you can start a second beer even if you want to, because it might be important for that, something like that. So.
Get a great intro.
Yeah. Oh, I only have your Professor Paul one, but I guess I could, You could drink any of this. There's 2 St. Bernard's juices down there.
That's like 10%.
Oh,
I don't
shit.
need 10%.
He's trying to. No, yeah, a lot of it's going to be IPAs and shit in there, I think, unless you want.
Well, it's St. Bernard.
All right, he's going for the real shit.
It is an interview with
Paul Main. As you begin to open up your favorite beer of all time, what was it that, or who was it that started you into this lifelong obsession of cycling?
Honestly,
Yeah.
just myself.
No.
So when I was a little kid, this is back. We lived in Spokane, and when I was 3 years old for Christmas time, I was going to be turning 4 that year. My parents bought me my first bike.
You're going back to 4 years old as your obsession with bike riding.
So I got my first bike with training wheels. And as soon as the weather broke, I was on it, and within an hour I wanted them off, and I never stopped riding. There's nobody like influenced me, and I thought I wanted to race bikes. I remember even there's my brother who's 8 years older, his best friend. I kept asking about, because he was a big athlete. He played football for WSU and stuff. And I wanted to know how you can race these things because that's what I wanted to do.
Seriously.
And seriously.
It started with an intent of racing.
And the funny thing is we moved when I was a little kid. When I was 6 years old, we moved out to where we did some of the ride.
Yeah, and if you've seen the Gravel with Friends, that section, yeah.
Yeah. And I pointed out to some of the guys who we were riding with on Sunday. And so...
I wasn't at the front at that moment. I wasn't up there with you.
Yeah.
I was back with Roger. Drink. Anyway, yeah. So, no, you know, yeah. So
anyway, I just would ride, and I took all the hand-me-downs that I could. No one in Spokane area in 1969, 1970 had any clue about bicycling. And
yeah,
I remember in third grade when I had, a birthday party and everybody slept over, I literally created a fictitious story because I was the new kid in Reardon with a bunch of farm kids that I used to race bikes there. I kid you not. I can remember the whole situation. I created this story that I was this great. We raced bikes in Spokane and blah, 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 blah. I
really
don't know. I was always born to...
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But when did racing become an actual...
Well, I remember buying my first 10-speed with the intention to race, but where we lived, logistically, I was trying to figure out in Spokane, Columbia Bicycle... And
oh shit!
Remember?
Yeah.
And there was a guy that worked there when I was there, and he was a mechanic. He was a young mechanic. His name was Steve Loveland.
Yeah.
And that was started like this draw. There was a small little community, and whenever I was in Columbia Cycle, I would try and get any information, and I just played other sports until then.
Really.
I went to school at Eastern, and my sister went to school there, and one of the apartments adjacent to mine, she actually left her Nishiki in the storage room, and I was able to finagle and get her bike out of storage, and started riding it.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the first time you recall pinning a number on and actually doing a race?
So after... Yeah, I had to drop out of college, ran out of money, and I didn't know what to do with my life, and I ended up decided I was going to get back into shape, and I bought my first bike from Bryant McKinley. If you're from Spokane, he's kind of legendary. He's blind.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't recall his name. I feel
Bryant
horrible.
McKinley was a Northwest Velosport, and his son was state champion at one time, and I was just like drilling with all this information.
Yeah.
I was about 22 years old, I think, at the time.
Jay Herman.
Jay.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. Teammate of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, then I just started riding constantly and stumbled across a guy locally some people would know, is Duke Anderson.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, you're pretty fast. Do you race?" And I said, "No, I don't know how to get in there." So he gave me an application for USCF.
Oh, shit.
And my first race was the time trial down at Riverside State Park, which was a 10-miler.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about anything, and I got there like at 4:30, and the first person that shows up is this girl called Molly Bolger.
Oh.
That's your sister. And she could tell I was nervous, my hands shaking. I didn't, I got my license. It was as soon as I got my license that week, did that TT.
No shit, really?
I did it and got second. I thought I won it because I passed my 30-second man and my minute man. I could see my minute 30 in front of me and almost caught him. And I'm thinking, I won this, but the guy behind me beat me by 20 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was your first real racing bike that you feel was truly a racing bike?
I had a Miata. It was called a Pro. Miata Pro, and it had Superbi Pro, and was a 1985 Superbi Pro. Yep, throughout.
Dark blue?
No, they were red with yellow head tube, and the lettering on it was yellow.
All right.
The next step up was the team, and that was blue. and I had Durace in that one.
Because I
So-
remember, Orive, our club, had a Miata sponsorship for a while. We had several guys on them, and that might have been because of Northwest Velosport, that
Yeah.
shop. Yeah. What was your favorite racing bike, and it can't be your current one?
It would have been Dave Moulton had a series of production bikes. He was out of San Francisco. He was a British guy. He used to build bikes for the British national team, and it was called Fuso. And there is a little story. I don't know if you want me to get long-winded.
That's what we're doing.
So, I ended up working for Steve Loveland, who was the guy who I had contact back when I was a little kid, with my first 10-speed. But he opened up a shop called Two Wheel Transit, and that was the hub. And when Washington Trust Classic came in, he worked with Campanola, and the support team and everything. So, anyway, I used to go in there and drool over this frame that was my size, and it was just too rich for my blood. I just couldn't afford it. And, Steve, of course, is like, well, you can make payments. You can, and it's I just didn't see how it was going to happen. And one day I walked in there and it was gone. He was actually packaging it up, and he sold it to a guy. And it's like, well, that's done. And then I went back, I don't know, a week or two later, and he's unpackaging because it came back. The guy didn't like it. It was too race-oriented. He wanted something
Really steep seat angle.
No, it was a 60 centimeter, 73.5 on the seat, 73 head tube, but the fork rake was pretty shallow on it.
Okay.
So not your standard 4.3, but I don't want to bore people with all that. So anyway, so it came back, and I'm thinking, it's destiny. So I'm like saving my money, and then all of a sudden I go, and it's gone again. Somebody bought it.
Fuck.
And I'm like, son of a gun. And then in 2 weeks it came back. And then 2 weeks later, he hired me. I applied for a job. He hired me, and I had to take it out of my paycheck, and I got it, and I put Campy Chorus Group, and I hand-built my own wheels. And, it was the best riding bike. Well, my current bike is pretty, it rivals it, but yeah.
What happened to it?
I broke a dropout, and this is remember the race down in Tri-Cities. There was a criterium that you and Mike Meyerly got in the big.
We were screaming.
So
at each other
I
in the middle
jumped
of
from the very
city.
beginning, and I had like 3 or 4 guys, and I'm like, within the first 2 laps, I'm like, man, my legs feel like they're gonna blow up. I couldn't figure out what it was. I went to the pits, and it looked my wheel was into my stays. That's because they had horizontal dropouts on it, and I thought, So, by the time I got looped around, I couldn't get my free lap because it was really dragging.
Oh, shit.
And then the sidewall was all torn up. So, when I got back to Spokane, I had broken an axle. And I thought, so I put in another axle, and it breaks again.
Oh, shit.
I keep breaking these axles. Well, it was black in the dropout, and the dropout on the right-hand side. For those that remember freewheels, you had an extension of axle like this, and Campy axles then were $20 a piece, and that's a lot of money. That's like 4 hours of work for me in a bike shop. So then Harry Gary, who I ended up building frames with, was going to frame building school, and he took it as a project, and they magnaflexed it.
Yeah.
And they found that the dropout on the right-hand side was broken.
Oh, shit.
And so he saved that dropout, and that was my keychain for the longest time.
No shit.
Yeah. So it was a Columbus dropout that broke. So that's what happened to it. And he fixed it, and by that time I had purchased a couple other bikes in that time period.
Yeah.
And I gave it to a friend of mine who his wife ran over it.
God damn it.
Yeah. So
That's
there you go.
Really? That's shit.
Yeah.
I had a Pogliagi back in the day, and it got stolen out of the back of my car. And I
Sons
just,
of bitches.
well, and I just I would always like to know what that bike is, but I always thought if I ever saw it and the handlebars were upside down and somebody was riding it, I would just go bash it with a sledgehammer because that bike would be just like a dog when it gets really old, just looking at you, just going, kill
Put
me
down.
Just kill me.
Yeah.
Just kill me. So I thought about that. So you worked in shops for several years, many years.
With Steve, I worked for him from 89 to 93, and then I would come back. I started as an electrician in 93.
Okay.
And then, but anytime he needed help, I would work on weekends. I needed money.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know.
Are there any takeaways from working in the business that you got, in terms of like how the bike business works, how shitty bike shop customers are, anything like that you want to take away?
There's always every bike shop has stories of a customer that fits.
Yeah.
You always have that customer comes in, the JRA. I was just riding along, and you're looking. It's like, no way. So it's kind of funny on that, is because no matter if it's the West Side or anybody, even when I went to the trade shows, you meet up and have a beer with somebody, and they start telling. It's like, I know a guy exactly like that in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's an unusual business. It's as screwed up as pro cycling. There's not.
Really?
I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what direction to go, and it gets so excited when mountain bikes came around. It's like, oh shit, drop road bikes, drop everything.
Yeah.
It's all mountain bikes, and then all of a sudden mountain bikes, well, the triathlons started kind of doing that a little bit on road, which is fine. I mean, that's just, but the industry just like doesn't put any resources in it and keeping things going. Neither does the federations that run these, in my opinion. This is all my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, the money's over there.
Yeah.
Everybody scampers over to that side, and it's like, oh, this is draining. What do we have going? And 2005, was it 5 or 6? It was a trade show. I saw the very first like gravel bike, and I'm like, that's a cross bike. With,
Yeah.
And it was basically a cross bike, but they're saying this is this new thing that's coming. You're just rebranding something.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing, I don't poo-poo it, but then all of a sudden it's like mountain bikes. Now they kind of have their own thing, but still they're not what they once were.
Sure.
So the frustration is, and we had this discussion, they have a tendency that one size fits all.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to production, it's a lot easier not to make various sizes of stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can mainstream everything, your production cost is low and you make tons of money.
I remember shopping for a bike, and we were talking about this, shopping for a bike, and I needed a 57, and all they had was 58 centimeters, and so I couldn't get my bike. 1 centimeter.
Yeah.
I mean, and we were talking about the fact that bikes now are small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
And you just adjust the fuck out of it. Yeah. So no.
Yeah. Exactly. And Fuso used to make 1 centimeter increments on his bikes. So.
Shit. Can't say Merckx, your favorite cyclist of all time.
Edwig van Hooydonk.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I've always liked him. He won amateur Flanders. He won Flanders twice. He was close in Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah.
He quit in the 90s when it was at its EPO was at its fullest. He just said, I'm training harder than ever, and I'm not even getting close.
Yeah.
And he quit. And it's unfortunate because he had a lot of heart, and he lived for cycling. So, and his nephew still races.
Yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah. Your best race.
Best race.
Doesn't have to be a win, but your best race.
I think the one that I take great joy in, it was a nothing race. It's just basically a local race. It was up at our club when I was with River City. Was the old, we used to use it in the Twilight series as a one of the road races, and up at 5 mile, what is that? With all the orchards up north. Green Bluff.
Green Bluff. Yeah.
See, I told you this is stuff strong.
Delicious.
Yeah. Green Bluff. So it's that same course. You'd go up that backside, and it was not a tough climb, but it's
a good climb.
Yeah, it was a good climb.
Yeah.
And I was training. I was with. I did the loop a couple of times with CP, and I said, if I'm there, I know exactly where to attack. There's a kilometer from the top of the hill. There's a kilometer to the finish. I said, I'm going to attack right there. And everything worked out. The guy I was racing with, we were with 40s and 50s together. Came over the top of the hill. My teammate was with this guy. Both last names are Coleman. Travis was my teammate, and Max was the other guy. He's from Walla Walla. And they were up, and it had this little gap, and I started bridging, and I looked back, and I could see everybody's chasing, and I thought, wait a minute. the 50-year-olds are going to chase me, and the 40-year-olds are going to chase them.
Yeah.
If I sit back and drop and wait for another opportunity to attack, then only half that pack, then my teammate can go. That was my thinking.
Okay.
And it was good because as soon as I dropped back, the gas came off. And I was like, this is perfect. Those guys were gone.
Yeah.
They ended up winning by 2.5 minutes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I waited the next time on the hill, attacked, and it isolated with 2 other guys, one of them a local guy. His name is Jim, and he wouldn't pull through. And this other guy's from Montana, who's a cat, I think Cat 1 at one time.
Okay.
John Longmire, remember him?
No. Sorry, John.
Yeah. But we just dropped everybody at that point.
Yeah.
And Jim really was reluctant. He finally started helping out on the last up the climb. I looked, and we were side by side. John was just watching us, and this Jim guy and I were kept bumping each other all the way up, and he dropped in this small ring, and I could climb that in my big ring. And I thought, when we get to the top, I'm just going to slowly increase the speed. And when he goes to shift to his big ring, I'm going. And it happened to be at that, like I told CP, at 1K.
Yeah.
And CP was at that 1K taking pictures. And as soon as I saw him reach for that lever, I just took off. And it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big race or any celebrity. But when everything goes well, as my teammate won.
Sure.
The 4-year-olds, and then I came in the 50s, and so, yeah, it was perfect.
Did you ever aspire to cross the pond and race at the next level? Was there ever that there was the dream, but was there ever kind of a plan put into action? I know the answer.
There was, yeah.
The listener doesn't.
So, 88 was my, very big push, and one of my teammates who was on the women's side of Team Two Wheel, her mom was French, and they lived in this one village on the coast, the Atlantic coast part. And I got to know him really well. And she, I said I'd like to race in Europe, and they started doing research, and her sister was going to put me up. They talked to people, and I had a team, and everything was coming together. And in fact, the host family sent me a T-shirt, which I still have today, as I told you. I used to race every single race in it. But I didn't go because I also put in for financial aid to go back to college to get my life put together.
Sure.
And I got quite a bit of grants, pretty much a free ride to go back to Eastern and get my degree in teaching. And I chose the college thing. And so that's where I met my ex-wife. Things changed. Maybe I didn't make the best choice. I don't know. But still to this day, like I said, I keep that. It is like you can see through it. It's like thin.
We all know your opinions on disc brakes and tubeless technology. But what, in your opinion, is the outside of that is the dumbest advancement the bike industry has made?
Wow. If it's really dumb, it shouldn't be around.
Yeah.
I think recent for road is single chain rings. As much as a guy who rarely uses his inner chain ring. For road bikes, it just doesn't make sense.
One by setup.
Yeah, one by. You're looking at if you have to change your cassette in the back if you're getting in order to get that spread right. Yeah. Then that means you have to add chain links, and you have to. It's just not good. And I would have to say the next in line of recent, I don't think tubeless wheels really are a good idea. I know a lot of people like them.
Yeah.
But there's Vittoria has their little foam insert, and it's like, what's the point at this point in time?
Yeah.
And because the rims are a little heavy in order to have that, and that's just so they can ride on a flat without having it roll off. Tubulars are still, you're trying to.
They're just putting Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to go away.
Worst crash you've ever had?
You got your drink there?
Yeah.
Roger's involved with this one.
Oh.
But it wasn't him.
Oh.
Roger.
Yeah.
So, Manitoba Criterium, Well, actually, I have two. One, but I'll use this one because it was pretty violent. There was a breakaway in this Washington Trust Classic, and there's a hill. It's Bernard if you're in Spokane, and we would hit like 40 miles an hour going into a tight right-hand corner.
Off camber, too.
Yeah, it was off camber.
Yeah.
And several times in that race, you could hear people go crash. One guy was from Montana. His name was Joel, and he literally crashed. I've never seen this. He slid on his chest.
Oh.
My coach called him the Concrete Christ because he looked like he was getting crucified, sliding down the side. He was on the sidewalk, in fact. He went in somebody's yard and we're into there.
Yeah.
But so it was a little chicane, and I remember Roger. I thought I got to bridge Roger up to this breakaway, and right by this duck pond, they had put half-inch plywood over the top of a storm drainage and duct taped it down because there was a dip. Yeah, and
we're good.
Well, I'm the only idiot that seemed to screw up there, so it's my fault. I remember looking down. I still had my Avocet then, and I was going into that corner, and it was off camber also.
Yeah.
But if you could hit that point where I looked, it would have been fine. But the edge of my front tire hit that, and I greased out.
Oh, shit.
And I was doing 32 miles an hour, and it's all broken up pavement and stuff, and I could hear people flying and swearing. You know, we had that discussion. Shit, fuck. The hounds of hell and everything. And the strangest part about that was my coach at the time, Tom Ramsey, said, he's in my face going, Jesus Christ, man, that was the worst crash I've ever seen. I'm like dazed, and I can't figure out why I can't breathe because it was the first generation of ProLite Giro helmets.
Yeah.
They didn't have a roll cage, so the foam had just blown off my head. Then the Lycra cover, and the straps around my neck, and I'm like, what's going on?
He's choking you.
Yeah, and this guy kept saying in my face, it was so surreal. It's like, I've got it on tape. I've got it on videotape. I've got it on tape. And then Ramsey's freaking out, and my whole right side was just...
Oh, shit.
In fact, I used to have a scar shape of Italy on my right arm. And woke up the next day, fevered, sheets sticking to me, the whole thing.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That was the worst.
You got to pick a dream team now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pick of your history in the sport, a leader, a sprinter, a classic specialist, a super domestique, and a time trialist. 5 riders.
Okay. Leader for GC?
Yes.
GC?
Leader.
And I would put Miguel Indurain.
Miguel Indurain. Whoa. Okay.
I like him. He was just level-headed.
Yeah.
He did his job, never complained. When he lost, he lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sprinter.
Of all the sprinters, I like Marcel Kittel.
We were talking about him this weekend.
I think he's got a good head on his shoulder. He knew it was time to, when you don't like the game, you need to get out.
Yeah.
But, that guy's a good guy.
Classic specialist.
That has to go to, there's people that I think they're better, but the ones that I enjoy watching, and it's just of recent is that I liked him. I didn't like him when he was racing, was Johan Museeuw.
Yeah. Okay.
That guy was all about racing.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super domestique.
Super domestique, I would Jean-Francois Bernard. When he worked for Indurain, he sacrificed a lot.
He did.
And he was amazing.
It took him a long time to get out of that leadership role.
Yep.
That he was thrust into with Lovey Claire and things like that.
Yep.
Time trialist or hard ass. I'll let you pick a time trialist or hard ass.
I will go with Tony Martin. That guy can
pretty much
TT.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And now
that's pretty much both.
he's gone to he's out front for 100K. And
Yeah. How am I doing on time? I'm getting there. Best kit ever. It doesn't have to be a pro kit. It could be a team kit you've ridden for. Best kit ever.
I would have to say, and I used to say a Super Conflicts for the longest time.
That green was so cool.
Yeah, and there's a
kind of a
one of ours.
copycat.
Yeah. And that was I threw that idea who was designing it. But and looking back in history, because I was watching a lot of Paris-Roubaix and Magnus Backstead won in 2004.
Yeah.
And he out-sprinted a guy named Fabian Cancellara who rose for
Who?
Fasta Bartolo.
Oh,
That kid
You
was
like
only
that
around.
Fasta Bartolo kid? Really?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's pretty simple and
yeah.
I like
Okay.
that.
Without naming any names, is there anybody you'd like to have slapped from your past? Any teammates or people you rode against that you'd like to just kick the fucking shit out of?
There was a guy. There was a guy where he rode for us, and we were at Wenatchee, and we had a guy who was in position and to win with a stage race. It was pretty difficult. He used to go up this steep climb towards Mission. Is it Mission Ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you climb up to the top of that and down, and he was a fantastic rider, but he was strange. He just didn't have a
Yeah.
personality anybody could deal with.
Yeah.
And I just said, Joel, whatever you do, you got to stick with John
Okay.
and do exactly what he says. Because I'm not going to win over the top of the hill. I'll be lucky to even see
Yeah.
those guys, And we hit the slope of the hill, and that son of a bitch just like took off. And I'm like, I'm watching this like slow motion. Fuck! And I'm like, you idiot! And John got isolated, and the guy in second place had a teammate, and they worked him over, and he lost. And from that point on, that guy was
You and a
yeah,
slapper. Okay.
yeah. I
Okay.
had no respect.
And have ridden around pretty much every stretch of tarmac within the city limits. What makes Spokane better than other places to ride, in your opinion?
As it sits currently, I would say the lack of traffic. As it sits currently,
Yeah.
it's still not bad, but for you and I, we're like riding. It's like, when did this get busy?
Yeah, fuck.
You know?
Why are all these cars here? Yeah.
But
yeah.
from my house, from your house, we could be out like on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
We could be on a 3-4 hour ride, maybe see 25 cars. That's out in the boonies. Of course,
Yeah.
once you get into town, it changes, but we're heading towards town. But
that's still leaving from our house.
just leaving our house. And we have flat terrain. We have rolling hills. We have winds. We have Mount Spokane. We have, it's a plethora. Every type of course you want, you can get. It's awesome.
Okay, these have nothing to do with cycling. Favorite band or musician? This tells a lot about people.
All right. Now, my favorite musician was you won't know who it is. It's Ronnie Laws. He was a saxophonist. I'm into jazz.
Really?
Yeah, he was a studio.
I just picture Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec when he plays sax. It's just
Yeah, Ronnie Laws is more of a studio guy, but he cut some albums and stuff.
really
And I do like Herbie Hancock, the earlier days.
okay.
Boop, boop. No, that's not early days. No, that's when things went south. And Ramsey Lewis. I like jazz, so I lean really heavy on the jazz side. So
Okay. Favorite movie, if you had to pick. I'll let you pick two because I know we
All right.
we quote a lot of movies.
yeah. Number one, on the comedy side, Big Lebowski, without a doubt. There should be no other. I could watch that 1,000 times, and I'll always find something like, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
It's that good. So, and a serious movie, it's called The Razor's Edge. It was a remake, 1930s, but Bill Murray did
Murray.
it. Yeah. He redid it in '84, I think it is.
Yeah.
And he he installed a couple of scenes with his brother Brian Doyle Murray. He plays a character Piedmont where he dies, and he has Bill Murray has his character Larry Darrell has a soliloquy, and he's talking about I hated him. People could feast off the food he left on his face. He loved to discuss people, and it was all geared towards John Belushi.
No shit.
Yeah, when it was right after
Yeah.
John Belushi died. So
I've never seen that movie.
yeah,
I remember a lot of people panned it because it was Bill Murray doing something serious.
yeah, and there's some things where he does some stuff. It's Bill Murray pokes through, the
Yeah.
comedy part. But
Yeah.
it's a pretty serious film, and it's
Really?
yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Paul, how do you like your coffee?
I like it several ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Now because you roasted, and I used to pour.
Yeah.
We were talking about the type of roast. There's times for like a darker roast, town roast, city roast.
Sure,
and
full
stuff.
city, yeah.
For me, it depends on the bean itself, and then I like a French press is what I always go with at home, and that I want to experience more, like different levels. I don't want just that coffee taste, that little bit of heavy roast. I want to punch through. But if it's Ethiopian, like a little more winey, I know that sounds stupid or nutty or whatever.
1,000% know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, but then there's times where, like an espresso, I'm going to lean towards darker roast, and I want that punch and stuff. So, yeah.
Because you always seem, whenever we meet for a coffee, you're always just like a double espresso, and then okay, let's go.
Yep.
It's like, whoa, okay. And why now? If St. Bernardus, I was going to ask your favorite beer. Everybody in the show who's ever known this show knows that's your favorite beer. But if it wasn't ranked high in the Wine Spectator, what is it about it that makes it your beer of choice?
Now, I haven't always been this way. I used to be an IPA man way back in the 90s.
Where's my what? What? Holy shit!
But I liked IPAs. I came across my very first true one was a Grant's Brewery out of Yakima back in the day.
My band played there many nights. Yeah.
I loved it. That was their Scotch ale was the best. But I just got tired of the point of where all of a sudden the overpowering what used to be IPAs, it got to the point where that's all you couldn't get any malty taste. It was just whatever.
Hops.
Yeah, hops.
Yeah.
You burped it up, and it didn't seem to pair well with food. I mean, I didn't mind it on a hot, sweaty day, just downing one, but I couldn't drink more than one.
Sure.
When it's that level.
Okay.
So then I kind of graduated, just like my wine flavors too. I wanted that robust, true Zen.
Yeah.
That hearty bang, 15% alcohol thing. Yeah.
It tastes like blended bacon.
Yeah. And so then I started tapering back, and it just like this particular beer. There's some as the temperature changes, you drink it slow. It's not a guzzler. I mean, you can get to me like dark fruits and the even the esters from the yeast.
Shit, yeah.
It has its own character, and it's good. It's just it's a complex beer.
There we go.
As opposed to just bang. Yeah.
Last question: if you could work in the bike industry again in any way, shape, or form, what would be the dream gig?
I'd build steel frames.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that. Yeah. I wouldn't make any money at it, but
no, I don't think many people are anymore about. But no, I agree.
It's an art form, without a doubt.
Right on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you all took this moment to get to know the one and only Paul Main, Professor Paul Main, out of this experience. I was just sitting here writing up the show, and I was going, well, Jack won't interrupt, so that'll be good. And so this is the time to pull back the curtain, so to speak, and see what was going on with the people behind it. So now people are going to come up to you and give you shit about like Lebowski quotes or something like that on some of our rides.
Bring
or
it.
Something in the future.
I love Lebowski.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. And go from there. So thanks, man. I said, I threw you under the bus. You did.
Well, that's all right. I don't know how excited anybody else is about my boring.
Fun. I think it's great. No, and like I've always said, I want the show to be like going for a ride with a bunch of jackasses who just tell the same stories or just do the same shit all the time. And I think that's what's fun about it. So we do need to close with watch this, and I think I fucked up. I think I've been getting really fucking lazy on posting videos because I don't think I posted anything this week.
No, I mentioned something that I would find one, and I didn't drop you because that's kind of a reminder. I'd say, hey, watch this.
Yeah.
But I will do it because we had to drink sour beer because we were sour.
Yes.
We were sour because there's no Perry-Roubaix.
Yeah.
I will do that. There's a. Anyway, I'll come up with something and I'll send it to you. I was thinking about it today as I was listening to several podcasts, and Magnus Backstead has been interviewed by Bobby Julich and Jens and Recycle, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
part of the Bradley Wiggins, and who else? I think the cycling podcast.
Yeah.
All those have been taken because that guy's a great announcer and he's
Yeah.
got a good voice.
So Maggie, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What's the
Drop
fucking
a
deal?
line. Let's
Yeah.
give him a
I
talk.
haven't even reached
He's
out
like,
to
do
him.
I have
but
to? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, shit, same fucking
Yeah,
question.
here we go again.
I'll rapid fire him, though.
Yeah.
And I'll ask him about his favorite beer, you know. or
Oh, there you
something
go.
like that. But,
Oh, yeah.
I
I'll
don't
change
see,
it
I don't
up.
see Bobby Julich talking about
Yeah.
beer. Bobby Julich probably's never had a beer.
You interviewed him.
I know. I remember. God, I remember when we were kids at the Olympic Training Center. Bobby Julich was in our dorm room going, "You guys are so fucking cool. This is amazing. You guys live here at the training center." We're like, "Yeah, kids. Someday, keep it up. You might be fast."
Well,
About 10 years later, he got podium on the tour,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm watching you at home.
Yep.
Looking at my
He
wife
listened
going,
to you.
He was in my dorm room. And my wife's like, "Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Honey, wake up." So let's do that. So should we just kind of go?
Yeah.
We're gonna cover a
yeah.
Paris-Roubaix.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to mention that Watch This with Professor Paul is brought to us by our friends at Scratch Labs. Sorry, Scratch Labs, I kind of dropped the ball this week, but new grape flavor, baby. Grape fucking flavor. So thanks to Scratch Labs for being a part of the show for so long. 126. We got anything else? I don't think we got anything else.
No, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
Since you did talk to me about where I got it.
Yeah.
To me, the passion for the sport, I never had an outlet. As I mentioned earlier in the show, that when I was a kid, I just would search for it.
Yeah.
But hopefully, with the podcast, that somebody maybe is looking for, if it just changes one person's life to get into bike racing, that would be cool.
It's your metaphorical bidon that you're handing to a kid.
That's right.
Or something like that.
There you go.
God
I
damn
like
it,
that.
UCI. Get your shit together and let people hand out bidons. Yeah. Packfiller membership is still happening for another few weeks, guys. So if you want to get an entire year's worth of swag and race entry fee and fun exclusive content like that, you have a shortening window in which to do that, because I'm going to close it out after that. I don't want to continue to ask people to, it's like a pledge drive from public radio. I'm just going to shut the fuck up and get on with the show here eventually. So if you are interested in that, be sure and check out packfiller.com. Click on the Join Team Packfiller, Club Packfiller, because there are tiers. The team benefits are different than the club benefits. Anyway, I think you guys get the point. Go out there, ride your bikes, pick your Amstel Gold, and I guess I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. If you can pick two of the riders to podium on Amstel Gold, I'll send you one of our Packfiller mugs. I got one of those going out to Noah, who Noah nailed. It was Flanders, and what was right before Flanders?
Shoulder Price.
Yeah, I think he picked one rider for both podiums, and so he did it, and so Noah's got the Packfiller, the La Vie Claire Panasonic one that's going out.
Cool.
Too, so I'm going to ship that out too.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm a man of words. It just takes me forever to put in the mail because I'm a lazy fucker. So there you go. Thanks everybody. Nightwing's got a show this week. Break a Leg is his last college performance, so that has nothing to do with bike racing, but Break a Leg. And Jack, finish the drain. That's it. Because we want to. I think I'm done.